All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Sales with Jay and Ron.
Yep, where we are turning script readers into salespeople.
Pro salespeople, 100%.
Pro salespeople, that's what it is. Okay.
Welcome to Sales with Jay and Ron, guys.
Yeah.
So today I think we're going to be talking about KPIs.
KPIs. Bro.
So what are KPIs, right? Key point indicators.
Correct.
So in every successful business, everybody has KPIs so that you can track where your money's going and when it's leading to profit.
Yep.
And these are just your steps for you to get what your goal is for your company, right? So for acquisitions in real estate, our goal is to turn leads, people who are interested in selling their property, to committing to us to purchase their property and get them under contract. And then now when we decide to buy it or wholesale it or, turn it into a rental, that is a part of the KPIs as well. So you always start with, for the acquisitions, how many leads am I bringing in in a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, format. Then now that funnel starts from total leads, and then you can, create more by saying qualified, getting deeper into the, the funnel. But for now, just for simplifying it, total leads to contracts, then contracts to deals. The reason why that's important for me is to know how many leads is marketing bringing in a week or a month. Then now, from how many leads marketing's bringing in, how many leads does it take or how many people do I have to talk to get a contract?
Yep.
So that now I know on my whiteboard every day, 25, 30 calls a day gets me, hopefully 2 to 3 contracts per week, right? Depending on what market we're doing. So now that I know how many contracts it takes me to get from a lead, now the more important KPI, which is contracts to deals, right? Anybody I get under contract, from there, how many does it turn into a deal? So that now I know however many contracts I get, I will know X amount will create 100% deal where we're going to make money.
Yep.
So that I can then look from total leads to deals to see the amount of leads it'll take for me to get a deal. Now, if I see I'm only at 50 leads this week and it takes me 200 to get a deal, then now I know the marketing has to bring in a lot more before I should close a deal. But just to be clear, anybody who's closing deals or in acquisitions, that doesn't mean you're not taking every individual at face value, meaning the KPIs, there could be one-offs. You could prove those wrong. You could get those lower, right? That's your goal. So for us, it's always every lead you talk to, try to close it and make it a deal if you can. But just understanding what your KPIs are, help you then have a conversation with marketing on how to bring more things in so that I can have a better chance of closing so that the company can then create more money. But now it goes to step 2 of KPIs, right? You're not just keeping track of leads to deals. You're also keeping track of, once I get that contract, how to actually monetize it. And for us, we dispositioned a lot of our contracts to other investors, and that's where Ronnie comes in, handling the transaction.
Yeah, and just to touch on KPIs, KPIs help you with your lag measures, right? So the first step of KPIs is you want to figure out, number one, I would only emphasize maybe 3 of those key point indicators that like our CRM gives us, right? I don't think we need more than 3, right? Because if you now, there's like a slippery slope, right? If you start basing your whole business on KPIs and nothing else, now you're not looking in between like those KPIs to see why is it here? Is there something? Does Jagger need better improvement on sales skills? Does Ronnie need better on disposition skills? So your KPIs aren't an indicator of where you're going. It's where you've been. Right.
100%.
So they're just lags.
So then you could change where you're going.
Exactly. So now what you do is you look at those KPIs and you say, okay, what out of all these KPIs, all these numbers that I'm getting, which of these are the most telling about my business and which of these are the most impactful, right? So like in baseball, they've learned that your batting average isn't exactly an indicator of how well you're doing offensively. Mm-hmm. So now it's more like OPS is what they care about, right?
Exactly.
So we have to constantly be changing what is the most impactful thing. So for us personally in-house, based on those KPIs, we look at total leads. So we want to see how many total leads are hitting our system and how many of those do we need to convert into a contract. So that's the first one, right? Total leads. Then we look at contracts. Contracts is important for us. And then from contract to close deals. Those 3 for us are probably, there's other ones, but those are going to be the 3 most important ones, right?
100%.
Because we can hold marketing accountable for total leads coming in. For contracts, right, I'm holding Jagger accountable. And now for closed deals, I'm holding myself and transactions accountable. Because we have to ask ourselves, right, based on those lag measures, like, okay, this from like dispositions, I guess. So from disposition, I'm like, okay, once it's a contract, right, why are these contracts not 100% closing? Is it because Jagger's locking up bad contracts, right? That's the first question. For me, is it because, Ronnie, you're not finding the buyers for these good contracts? So now let's say I answer the question, Jagger is locking up quality contracts. So if me, Jagger, and the whole team truly believe that, then it should be 100%. So now the next question is like, okay, Ronnie, if these are quality contracts and now I'm underwriting it. So Ronnie, you told Jagger this is the number. Like, Jagger didn't make up a number. He said, Ronnie, what number you need to be on? And I said 100. Then that's saying that, Ronnie, you should believe that you can move that property at 100,000
or more, right?
Or more, yes, exactly. So now I have to ask myself, what do I need to do to then improve that number, right? And then that's how you use KPIs, I feel like, to get better.
100%. And that's what, we do, right? We look at total leads to contracts. Hey, is marketing doing their job? Then from contracts to closed contracts, is acquisitions doing their job? And then from, the actual contract. From total leads, we'll redo that.
Yeah.
So from total leads to contracts, that is marketing. And then from total contracts to closed contracts is dispositions.
Yeah.
Because now you're looking at the deals I brought you, how many are we actually moving? And then, of course, there's reasons why some don't move. Sometimes it's just the deal couldn't get moved because it was a complicated deal and we just couldn't find a buyer. Yeah. Sometimes it's we don't have the right buyer for the property. Sometimes it's Jagger locked up a not quality contract. And sometimes Ronnie underwrote the property incorrectly.
Correct.
Right? But then from there, you can learn from all of those. And then now how can you get better at those four things while managing your KPIs? So then now you can have basically a higher closing rate for contracts to closing, right? You want the rate, you have to know what your average should be, right? We're at like 56% from contracts to closing. So now what are you going to say your goal should be 100? Unrealistic. How about we got to go to 75%? Now let's try to close 75% of those deals. Now from total leads to contracts, depends on the market, but I would say
let's just use on average, we're at 46 total.
So 46 total leads.
Every market.
To get 46. Okay, so 46 total
to get
one contract. So then now if you start getting 50, 60, 70, 80 leads per contract, now I know it's either the leads are less quality that I'm working or I'm doing something that isn't right to actually close on the opportunities that we've had in the past. And what this does for your business is now you actually know where you stand so that, like we talked about in a podcast Mirani and I just did, where you can now just take action steps. Now from these KPIs, what action steps do I have to do to better my KPIs and more importantly, bring more money into the company more efficiently? And that's what KPIs do for you.
Yeah, and the other cool thing is, right, now, if you know that, 46 total leads, it brings you to one contract, now you can start playing that game, right? Like, how much do 46 leads cost? Also, if, let's say, I do, something more, so inbound marketing tends to be more expensive, outbound tends to be more labor intense, but way cheaper. You can start playing that game, right? Now, if I get 46 outbound leads, is that the same as getting 46 inbound leads?
Probably not.
Probably not, but let's just assume that we don't know. You can now start playing that game because I doubt it just based off experience, right? But we can't say that for certain, but we know off of experience. But let's say we learn that, 46 total outbound leads and 46 inbound leads bring in the same, they still hit those averages. So maybe you want to be like, why am I spending $12,000 at every direct mail campaign when I'm spending 400 or 500 using VAs doing outbound? I'm just going to go here.
And the whole thing is that you can make that decision after looking at your KPIs.
Exactly.
So once you keep track of this data, then you can start making decisions for your business to become more efficient or to hold people accountable so that you can get the business to where you need it to be. So I would just say key takeaway, make sure you are keeping track of your KPIs. You understand which ones you want to track and why, and have goals for what they should be.
Yep. And then just before we end, in order to get these KPIs, I would recommend, if you're doing sales at a pretty high level, get yourself a fucking CRM. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what CRM is, just look it up. But I believe it's Customer Relations Management. It's just a system that keeps all your leads, all the information in place. We've used Podio, RESift. We're currently using RE Simply, which I think by far has been the best one.
Yeah, for us.
Yeah, for us.
Everybody's
Yeah, everyone
different.
has their own niche. I think we had one in between. Podio, RE Sift.
And then there's like a one everybody heard of, Salesforce, right?
Salesforce,
like you could always use
yeah.
those. But that really just depends on how much money you want to spend, how many leads can you hold in your system, or what are you trying to keep track of, right? Like how much data. So I guess that depends on the business, but those are just some examples. And if you guys obviously, want to talk more about KPIs, we could definitely make more videos on it. So just comment if you feel like this was helpful. And don't forget to like or subscribe to Sales with Jay and Ron.
Yep. All right.